Oh, wait, no longer. Greatness has arrived. Welcome to the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players. I'm your host, Joseph, aka Mr. Badbit, and it is here where me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest, the greatest in all things PlayStation. Of course, you can listen to this show wherever you find your podcasts and on YouTube at the Trophy Room Show. And if you like what you hear, please consider dropping us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. You can review us also on Spotify, where you could plop us a follow, or if you really like us, you could toss us a buck our way over at patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. So with all that said, and with all that out of the way, the greatest co-host, whoever is, whoever will be, Mr. Kyle Stevenson, how are you, sir?
Eyes up, Guardians.
Oh
boy, what a day!
What a day!
Hey, PlayStation, there are other days of the week.
Honestly.
I'm just saying, we're only going to tackle the big thing right now, but
Yes.
PlayStation just decided, it just vomited out news.
It's
all
Monday.
Day, all Monday long.
You had 3 pieces of news of which you could just sprinkle throughout the day.
Yeah.
And they're big pieces of news.
Yeah.
And we could have talked about them all on Thursday. We could have been talking about the state of play for Gran Turismo 7. We could have been talking about MLB The Show's new cover athlete. I mean, we could have talked about the Discord
also
integration.
And the show's coming to Switch for the first time.
Switch, of all things. And instead, we're making an emergency podcast on a Monday that will be out on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because there's been some news. I don't know if y'all have heard this, but PlayStation has acquired the makers of Destiny and Halo.
So, yeah.
Bungie.
Let's say this right now. I know you said this in a tweet already. I've seen many people already make this note.
Yeah.
But it has to be said on our show.
Please.
Xbox now owns the PlayStation 1 mascots in Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and Tony Hawk and whatever.
Yeah.
Sony now owns the creators of Halo.
Yeah.
What's going on?
This is just a topsy-turvy world of which we now live in.
They finally decided, you know what? We can't make our own Halo killer, so let's just buy the people that made Halo.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Oh, man. Listen, Kyle. We usually record the show on Wednesday. It's out on Thursday. This week is special because of this huge news. You're getting 2 episodes of the Trophy Room. So make sure you're here watching this episode or listening. And make sure you tune in this Thursday for our reactions of the state of play for Gran Turismo and the rest of the huge news that has landed. And also our Dying Light 2 review. So if you think this episode's packed, by golly geez, it's
and come hang out on Wednesday live at twitch.tv/PS Trophy Room. Well, we will be live reacting to the Gran Turismo 7 state of play,
which is great because we're not car guys at all.
No, we're gonna be like, "Ooh, man, that car looks real pretty."
Yep, it's making rev noises.
Vroom vroom goes the car,
and that's it. So yeah, that's gonna be a really fun show. And man, the state of the gaming industry as we know it is changing at such a rapid pace. Only 2 weeks ago, we were talking about and kind of going through the paces and the motions of Microsoft buying Activision. Now we see
for $69 billion.
And now we see PlayStation buy Bungie. But before we get into all that, please, if you haven't already, consider rating us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. You get entered to win our Horizon Forbidden West giveaway. All you have to do is rate the show 5 stars at me, at Mr. Babbitt, or at the show at PS Trophy Room with your review. Or you could be a patron of the show with the $1 or up tiers. And you get entered to win just by being so generous. So, go over there, go contribute. And we are right now, just in North America alone, 240 reviews, which is nuts.
Wild. Thank you, everybody who have left a review. We appreciate you.
And last bit of housekeeping, we have new merch. Look at this t-shirt I'm wearing. I'm brandishing the Elden Ring themed Trophy Room shirt alongside our Horizon Forbidden West shirt as well, and our Bloodborne themed shirt because, It wouldn't be the trophy room without a little Bloodborne. That said, I want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. Like we always say each and every week, if we got you through a long car ride, a tough day at work, whatever your situation is, please, it'd mean the world to us. It keeps the lights on. It keeps the show looking good. It keeps us sounding great. Head on over to patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. Our newest members, K. Grimm, who upgrades to the Silver Plus tier. Elo 2032. Is that kind of like Lobot from Star Wars? I'll think about it. At the Silver Plus tier. Stephen Flesh over at the Silver Plus tier. Our Platinum producers, Todd Burowitz, Too Soon, and Toxic. I want to thank our Gold members, Spammin' Bammin', Too Soon, Gavin Goffrey, Jose Jimenez, Jedi Master Ren, Metal, Kirby, Awesome Dave, Robbie, Bobby Miller, Strubles and Bits, and Chaotic Monkey. Silver Plus tier members, Hide Indoors, Nakachaka, Marcus O'Neill, which he had posted the cutest picture of his kid today.
Cutest.
It's a little bean. I love him.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just right. JB the Purple Monkey, Jedos Von Metal, Tim Olf, Justin Rodriguez, Awesome Dave, Cypher Primus, Captain Logan, Todd Roper, Brunton Zachary, Rick Arrington, Dewane Raksha, The Good Sir, Trucker Sloth, Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots. Can I keep going? Yes, I can. Drellish, Foolish Fuji, Annie Day Now, Kevin Mitchell, Kevin Diaz, Max Visia, and the Lord Corgi. Thank you all so much for making this show possible and for being so generous. Thank you all so much. It is nuts how this list keeps getting bigger and bigger, and we couldn't be here without your support. So thank you. Kyle, it is time to square up our new segment. This ain't a scene. It's a goddamn arms race. Take it away, good sir.
Oh my God. Legendary developer to join PlayStation as an independent multi-platform studio and publisher. This comes from the PS blog from none other than Jim Ryan. Today, I am happy to announce Bungie will be joining the PlayStation family. First off, I want to be very clear to the community that Bungie will remain an independent and multi-platform studio and publisher. As such, we believe it makes sense for it to sit alongside the PlayStation Studios organization, and we are incredibly excited about the opportunities for synergies and collaboration between these two world-class groups. I've spent a lot of time with Pete Parsons, Jason Jones, and the Bungie management team to develop the right relationships where they will be fully backed and supported by Sony Interactive Entertainment and enabled to do what they do best: build incredible worlds that captivate millions of people. Bungie's world-class expertise in multi-platform development and live game services will help us deliver on our vision of expanding PlayStation to hundreds of millions of gamers. Bungie is a great innovator and has developed incredible proprietary tools that will help PlayStation Studios achieve new heights under Herman Hulst's leadership.
Pete Parsons, CEO of Bungie, says the following: "We believe games have limitless potential, and that due to anything worthwhile in entertainment, we must bet big on our vision, on our studio, and our incredible team of trusted creators who build unforgettable worlds that truly matter to people. In Sony, we have found a partner who unconditionally supports us in all that we are and who wants to accelerate our vision to create generation-spanning entertainment, all while preserving the creative independence that beats in Bungie's heart. Like us, Sony believes that game worlds are only the beginning of what our IPs can become. And together, we can share a dream of creating and fostering iconic franchises that unite friends around the world, families across generations, and fans across multiple platforms and entertainment mediums." Today, Bungie begins our journey to become the global multimedia entertainment company.
And this comes from the GamesIndustry.biz Christopher Durge article. Quote from Jim Ryan. Quote, "I've been on record talking about increasing the size of the PlayStation community and expanding beyond our historic console heartland. This can take many forms, and definitely one of the main ones is the ability for the wonderful games that we've been making over the past 25 years to be enjoyed in different places and played in different ways. We are starting to go multi-platform. You've seen that. We have an aggressive roadmap with live services and the opportunity to work with and particularly learn from the brilliant and talented people from Bungie. That is going to considerably accelerate the journey we find ourselves on. Philosophically, this isn't about pulling things into the PlayStation world. This is about building huge and wonderful new worlds together. I would back us to do live service games ourselves, but when you have the potential to have a partner like Bungie who has been there, done it all before, learned the lessons, and have got this wonderful, brilliant team who is there and has the potential to help us, we think we can take something that would have taken a certain number of years and significantly decrease the time it will take to get it right. End quote.
Wow. And of course, this article, shout out to Drellish in the Discord who shared this and got it to our attention. This article is huge. It's expansive. We literally thought like for 10 minutes how to tackle it on the show. Definitely read this one for yourselves. This is a little bit of homework, but essentially, what Christopher says here, and this is also backed up by his tweets, is that the motivation behind Sony's acquisition of Bungie is to help boost their own ability to make live service multi-platform games. Equally, Sony unlocks potential to Bungie to strengthen its technical capabilities and prospect of taking its games to movies and TV. The deal was in the works for the past 5 to 6 months and not a reaction to Take-Two's Zynga or Microsoft and Activision deal. And Jim Ryan has told Christopher that we should expect more when it comes to further PlayStation acquisitions. So the too long didn't read. Bungie is going to and remains a third-party developer / publisher. And although Bungie is now a PlayStation studio, it acts autonomously, continuing to build its studios. We're talking a lot about multimedia, ... We're going to start getting into this metaverse thing. PlayStation is currently building multiplayer teams, i.e. Insomniac, Naughty Dog, and Sucker Punch. And Jim wants to go beyond consoles. He has an aggressive roadmap for live services. All these things are trigger words for us PlayStation folks here, Kyle. All these things. But I want to get to the brass tacks with you, my good friend. Mm-hmm. Your immediate reaction. Sony buys Bungie. Go.
Immediate, like, holy crap, what a move! I'm first thing that popped in my head.
Yeah,
we've beaten the drum for far too long. Sony needs to fill in that FPS void, and so without reading the details, just seeing the news title, PlayStation buys Bungie. I'm like, oh my god, cool! Destiny is now going to be a PlayStation thing. That is definitely going to fill the gap of a potential in a few years Call of Duty no longer showing up on PlayStation.
Yeah.
But then as I read it, I'm like, oh, they're still going to be independent.
Yeah. And
publishing all on their own, just in tandem using PlayStation for the resources and learning symbiotically with each other and helping each other out. Very weird. It's a weird thing to spend almost $4 billion and be like, hey, you know what? You can still be independent. You can still do your own thing. You know, we're just going to, help you out here and we'll learn from each other and whatnot. So right from the get-go, when I read that, I was like, it's a lot of money to just be like, hey, you're us now. You're in the PlayStation Studio family, which they are technically.
Yes.
But it's a new weird thing.
Yeah. It's like they're cousins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, okay. So it's kind of like when people are like, why did Xbox buy Bethesda for $7 billion if they're not going to make those IP exclusive, right? Sure, I get that argument as well. And my immediate reaction before I tackle that is this is a huge move by Sony to say, hey, yeah, we need something that identifies with us in the FPS arena. We need something that identifies with us through multiplayer, and we need something that identifies with us through live services. And we need a live services program in order to sustain us. So right there for Sony, there's a lot that they can learn from Bungie as a literal partner. And if you're Bungie, you're like, there's a lot for us to learn from them in terms of what it's like to build an actual productions in terms of TV and movies. We've seen them go out there and say, hey, we're going to start making a Bungie cinematic universe. This is how you do it. This is the partner you want. So there was, remember the rumors back in the day, Microsoft was going to quote unquote buy Bungie again. There was a reason why that didn't happen. It looks like Bungie wanted the full autonomy, and they wanted that cross media, that transmedia. So there's a lot more that I my first thoughts were, but it goes into these questions. So for the first question, kind of goes with what you're saying here, Kyle. Clear Wings writes in, here's my question for the podcast. My thoughts on the deal are a little mixed. I think it's a great thing that Sony has a first-party big FPS now, but games will remain multi-platform. I'm curious, why then buy Bungie if they didn't want Destiny to be a console exclusive? What's your thoughts on this?
So, my thoughts are they're ever changing while I try to digest everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's still not a first party big FPS, right? You mentioned in the TLDR, they are still be a third party publisher,
right,
and developer. But what the tricky thing is when they say multi-platform, am I being too naive to just think that means PC and PlayStation?
You wouldn't be. That's what some people are actually kind of saying. It's like,
obviously Destiny 2 will continue to be on Xbox for the length of Destiny 2 and the expansions and whatnot. But like, when I hear multi-platform in the future, I just think console PlayStation coming to PC. Maybe that is the day and date kind of thing that we've been wondering if PlayStation would tackle on PC and PlayStation.
I think the way, though, Bungie's wording it, it's very much like we are everywhere. We are everywhere the player is going to be. So I think that includes Microsoft consoles. I think that, why did I say Microsoft consoles?
I don't know.
I think that includes Xbox. And so for me, it's like, well, why did you buy this? If you're Sony, like, again, you're learning a lot from these guys in terms of what it makes or what it takes to build a live service game. Remember that Destiny is such a incredibly successful brand that when people make a live service game, it is compared to Destiny.
Yeah.
Because Destiny is the gold standard. So if your PlayStation, and let's be honest here, you're building that multiplayer portfolio, you want to know and you want your devs to have direct lines to the gold standard. So I think right then and there, if that multiplayer Marvel game from Insomniac is true, they could take notes from Destiny. If that Naughty Dog IP is, Factions 2, they could literally turn to a Destiny dev and go, hey, can you help us out here with the economy, right? If you're Sucker Punch and you're making a multiplayer thing, you're turning over to Luke Smith over there and going, hey, how can we make this work? So right off the bat, I think if you're Sony, you get that line of communication. But the one thing that I read when they said other platforms, Spartacus.
So yeah, I also had the same thought of, what if this is the thing where like, and again, it's changed throughout the day, but like, what if a Spartacus plan level, whatever the levels may be, what if one of those levels is access to Destiny 2 and all the expansions just bundled into that plan?
As long as you're a Spartacus member, you have access to Destiny 2.
And any future expansions or whatever added
you
content,
have access.
I feel like that is probably a way to go.
The one thing that I don't want is the old Sony deal where they literally locked some things out of that game.
Oh, yeah,
and weapons. No. I don't want that. I literally just want, hey, play Destiny here on Spartacus. That is a good enough reason for millions of people to turn to your platform.
Absolutely.
Right there off the bat. So if you're a Sony, you do get some things out of this, and you get the massive revenue out of Destiny every year. And if you see that the pool is shrinking, you want to make sure you get a little piece of that so that you can have that revenue year in, year out. And maybe you get to waste some money on some losses to services like Spartacus. All right. Una writes in, hey guys, the Bungie acquisition is interesting to think about with the Activision Blizzard acquisition. I think Sony needs a multiplayer game. Like Destiny, if COD is going to be an Xbox exclusive within a couple of years, the next best thing is Destiny. It is not COD, but it is still being played by millions of people and updated with new expansions bi-yearly. Personally, I do not play Destiny, but I think of the bigger picture that is Sony needs a multiplayer game that people can play on their consoles. So what do you guys think? Is there more to it? But that's what I'm just thinking or feeling right now. I think you hit it right out of the park there, you know? This is interesting because I genuinely feel, Kyle, this actually puts Microsoft in the defensive. In the terms of PlayStation's been this is the clearest they've ever been on anything. They're saying, hey, if you're an Xbox player, don't freak out. You're still getting Destiny forever. That's the thing.
I loved how that blog post opened up with the first sentence. Hey, don't worry. You'll still be able to like play this on your platform that you already own it on.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is the most clear answer to this question that everyone always has when there's a big acquisition now is what does this mean for my favorite titles?
Yeah.
And right off the bat, they're like, hey, don't worry about it. You'll still be able to play it and access it where you're playing right now.
Yeah. They don't want to hurt that cash cow.
Nope.
It's also a great bargaining chip if you're PlayStation going, look at what we've done. Now let's, you scratch our back now, we scratch yours type of negotiations. I also just think of the third-party deals that is associated with Destiny at this point. Yeah, you do get that free marketing on PlayStation again. If you're a Destiny fan, now you're gonna kind of go, okay, man, maybe it's the PlayStation platform that I go to again. If you're a casual or you just jumped out and you're seeing all those deals. So to me, you get that recurring revenue, you get that Spartacus. Now things are looking a little rosier here in PlayStation land. And if you're on the greener pasture, which is the Xbox platform, right? I don't mean greener as in better. I mean greener because of color Xbox. Yeah. You get it. No, 5 people are going to yell at me about that, Kyle. So cool. Again, I really like the clarity here. We're not trying to pick apart we have a desire of Destiny stay on Xbox. It's here.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of people going, no, they said future. Some of it's a little hazy, I'll be honest, a little bit. But there's a lot of clarity in terms of like, no, Destiny's here forever and always. Don't worry. And they, tussle your hair a little bit.
Yeah. I'm more interested in, I don't know when we would see their new IP, whatever they're working on now, of like what the verbiage would be around that.
Yeah.
Right? Is that also going to come to Xbox? Or is it only specifically Destiny branded things stays on Xbox?
Well, we're thinking Destiny, the NetEase game, that's for sure. I know they're working on another game, and I think that's probably still Xbox. But what comes after that?
Yeah.
That is where it gets really hazy. But at the same exact time, it's like, well, now we're looking 10 years into the future.
Sure.
10 plus.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And by that time, I think this whole arms race is going to look way, way more ambiguous.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, here's what the Green Gorilla asks. With Sony being a huge part of the movie industry and a lot with their first party games getting that live action treatment, looking at you, Last of Us, where's our trailer? We got Halo. Where's ours?
I don't know.
Halo looks pretty good, but then at the same exact time, I literally saw an AK in that trailer. And I'm like, this is supposed to be okay. Uncharted and Ghost of Tsushima, etc. Do you think that there is now at least a small possibility that the Destiny movie or show could happen with Sony, with Sony's well-known title on the cover, possibly with Nathan Fillion returning as Cade Six? Green Gorilla asked multiple questions, all of them going with Nathan Fillion returning as Cade Six. I really respected it. This is what Bungie gets.
Yep.
This is
access to Sony Pictures.
Think about how powerful also the Destiny IP is. Like when Solo came out, which is a good Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
I was standing no, people are going to yell at me. It was in development hell. The 2 directors from the Lego movie tried to ruin it. And you know what? Todd Howard was it Todd Howard?
What? Todd Howard?
No. It's just Bryce Dallas Howard. That's
Ron Howard.
Ron Howard. He tried his best. Listen, these white people and their ambiguous, simple names like Todd and Rod confuse me. He tried his best, damn it. But when that movie came out, everybody started kind of comparing one of the lead characters to, oh, this kind of looks like Destiny. Like that's how powerful this IP is. Where
it is.
You can kind of mistake it for something as popular as a Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're Sony, you want this. Because you're looking at this going, well, hey, if it's getting compared to one of the most popular science fantasy things out there, this could be a huge cinematic universe for us. Huge, and Bungie's probably thinking the same, and they don't have the capital or the infrastructure to do that. So this deal makes so much sense on the transmedia level.
What would you prefer out of Destiny when it comes to a viewing medium, not a playing one? Would you prefer it as a movie? Would you prefer it as a show?
Man, that's a great question.
I would prefer it as a movie.
I would like it to start off as a movie.
Sure. Yeah.
And then kind of like what Star Wars does, right? Like you have your mainline trilogy and then you have the Filoni-verse that's a lot better, but also smaller production, smaller set.
Yeah.
I think there's power there. I think
give me a movie about the what's it called, The Traveler, right?
Yeah.
Give me a movie about that, and then give me a show based on the characters. Give me a Cage show. Give me a Zavala show, and like give me all them.
Yeah, and like you could see their adventures together before they were, these leaders in the tower.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So there's potential there.
Yes,
the good sir writes in, and just not a question, more like a, hey guys, let's hold our horses here. Excited for the episode, but not super excited about this industry consolidation. Late stage capitalism is seriously the worst. Listen, I get it. I really do. I understand that concern. I don't think it's here though. And I do think, like for this acquisition, I do think there is a serious talk where, I think on Jeff Grubb's show, Game Mess, he talked about it. At this point, inflation has gone through the roof because of the global supply chain, the global situation that we're in now. And if you're a company, you're about to lose millions or even billions of dollars in cash in the next year as inflation goes back down, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm a corporation and I know I'm about to lose millions or billions, I might as well spend those billions right now getting that number down and spending to buy some stuff.
Yeah.
So I think we're seeing this rapid consolidation of this industry, which is relatively untapped if we think about the grand scheme of things. And it is scary. Change is scary.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the next acquisition is. We'll talk about it in a minute, but we don't know what that is. So of course, apprehension is a good.
Absolutely. And I think, and I want to say it was Jared Petty on Twitter. He was like, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters to most gamers is, am I still going to be able to have fun?
Yeah.
Like, it's important to have these talks about capitalism and monopolies and whatnot. But like at the end of the day, is it going to impact most gamers' ability to have fun playing games?
Yeah.
And right now, I think we're good. Everyone can still have fun playing on whatever they're playing on.
Absolutely.
We'll see what happens the rest of this year because it's only freaking January.
Only January, and for what Jeff Grubb has said, and of course we'll talk about just after all these questions, there's more.
Yeah.
There's more. TPR writes, I think the deal is interesting, but I'm more immediately intrigued about how this could benefit Project Spartacus. I totally think PlayStation could include a special or discounted access to Destiny 2 and its expansions as a perk or on a subscription tier. Thoughts?
TPR, I don't think you get a discount. I think you just get it.
I think this is the thing that's headlining it.
Because Destiny 2 is already free to play, correct?
Destiny 2 is sort of free to play. After a certain expansion, it cuts off.
Okay.
So Destiny has this big content problem of right now they're currently vaulting a whole bunch of content because the game is getting way too big and it's trying to contain itself. So like the Witch Queen is an expansion you'll have to buy. But if your Project Spartacus going, and Witch Queen is here for everybody, and here's a special little gun or doodad when you're a Spartacus member, that's going to get people through the door.
Cool to me.
Super cool.
Super cool.
I added this name in here. I don't think Corgi's going to mind. Lord Commander Corgi. That's right. And I'm just thinking about Lord, like a Regent Lord who's a Corgi. Commanding armies. He has a cute little helmet.
Absolutely.
You know? Like the one dog in that one TV show where he was Sherlock Holmes. Cute son of a bitch.
Wishbone?
Yeah, but like this
throwback.
Yeah, but like this is Wishbone. He's out here conquering Westeros.
Does anyone out there listening know who Wishbone is?
I hope.
That's like when I was a kid.
Green Gorilla does not know who Wishbone is.
Oh, he absolutely does not know who Wishbone is.
You're missing out. That dog's been super dead. All right. Ryan has said we should expect more when it comes to acquisitions. Do you see PlayStation setting their sights on what's next? And what developer or publisher would be your dream for Sony to buy?
Oh, man. It's interesting. So I think everyone knows my stance on what I want PlayStation to do. And in some ways, this Bungie acquisition kind of fits that a little bit.
Yeah.
I want Sony to make purchases of studios and developers that have a history with it. And like you might be thinking like, oh, Bungie, that's Xbox. Destiny 1 showed up on the PS4 stage.
Yeah.
That's when it was unveiled. It's been 8 years since Destiny 1. That's a big chunk of change to be tied to PlayStation. So like that still fits what I'm kind of looking for, where there is that lineage and history between the two. But so like what I would love for them to buy, if we're dreaming big, I mean, Square, obviously, with the ties to Final Fantasy, I think that would be a no-brainer. I also think like Konami, just get the rights, really. I don't think you need to buy the whole studio, just buy all the rights from them.
Yeah.
But I think the most realistic one, if I'm totally honest, might be Capcom.
Yes.
I think that might be the most realistic one, where like Street Fighter 5 was already PlayStation exclusive. Like the Resident Evil shows up on PlayStation stage. Like it fits the bill of a developer, a publisher that is so tied to PlayStation. So I can see Capcom being that purchase.
And people already know it seems like people already know in the back stages, the people that are in the deep, again, name drop of Jeff Grubb, the man who, I'll be honest, is a coward because he won't come on this podcast. Every week I'll say it, Jeff Grubb, before, until your beautiful locks sit upon this podcast with us.
Yeah.
You're a coward, sir.
We'll pull another chair in the trophy room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice here.
It's welcoming.
Yeah. You could bring Mike. That's the bargain. All right. But until then, cowardice. Jeff teases a bigger acquisition is on the horizon. And he said it takes two to tango. But he insists that he's not teasing Take-Two or Hazelight. A bigger acquisition than Bungie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a crazy thought. There's a lot of publishers and studios out there that are on the level of Bungie, though they are decreasing by the day. And it's also important to note as well, coming yet again from Jeff Grubb, who's just evading this podcast, but won't be on it because he's a coward, is that there was some person going, it's crazy at this point to think that, or it's not crazy at this point to think that everybody's in talks to buy everyone. And Jeff said, agreed. I think it's only getting legit. Sorry, I think that it's getting legit wild out there. Everybody. We talk about this on the emergency podcast today. Everybody is talking about buying everybody. Because again, they got all this bank of money that is going to disappear in a year. Because inflation's going to go down. And so they need to go purchase something real quick.
Yeah. And can we be real? Can I be real for a second?
Yeah.
I can be totally off base here.
Sure.
This is all Microsoft's fault, right?
No, it's not.
I mean, they're the one that opening salvo buying Bethesda for $8 billion or whatever it was.
I mean, that's them.
Smaller devs acquisitions have been happening forever. But I'm saying these big, large scale things.
Yeah.
Where we're talking billions of dollars. It's Microsoft's fault.
No, I think it's the germ that started this whole thing. The reason why we're secluded in our houses, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The reason why the global supply chain is the way it is. And prices for things keep on going up and up because the demand's not there, but the supply hasn't met said demand. So and now we're at this point.
So you're saying Sony and Microsoft are doing what we've all been doing for the past 2 years and just buying things to make us feel happy.
Yes.
They're treating themselves as we treated ourselves throughout this entire thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're like, we're a little sad. We're in our pajamas. Let's go buy an Activision.
Exactly. It's something out of our price range.
Yeah.
We don't really need it. But we're going to buy it anyway. Exactly.
And hopefully that fills the COVID depression. Yes.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, it's bigger. What's bigger? I mean, like, one of the things that makes sense, and we have to, I'm trying to say, Jim Ryan says more studios. So I definitely think Haven. I definitely think Firewalk.
Sure.
If they see promise in those partners, they're going to purchase them. And if we're thinking publisher, because the rumor was one publisher and one developer was Sony's budget, which is just a weird thing. That's like Sony,
very weird. Yeah.
Sony gave them a little like $15. Go out there and buy a Star Wars.
It's like those I guess they're memes, but they're the graphics of you have $15. This top row is everyone in this top row is worth $5. Everyone in this second row is worth $4, and so on and so on. You only have a $15 budget. Pick what you want.
Oh my God, that's a Patreon show right there. We're making it happen. Ingenious. So like if I'm thinking on who's the $3 tier. Who's the $5 tier?
Exactly.
Who's the $1 tier? Right off the bat, what I want in my heart of hearts, Kyle.
Yeah.
You know it, so just say it with me right here, right now. 3, 2, 1. From software. Bring them home.
Yeah.
Come to Papa.
Yeah.
We're here, open arms.
Who owns From?
The parent company that Sony does have a partnership with. It's a very Japanese name, which I would offend a whole lot of people if I even try to pronunciate because I'm dumb.
Katakawa Corporation?
I'll take it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think they're the developers you want, man. They're the ones you wine and dine. They're the ones that you go, Miyazaki, make whatever you want, you beautiful son of a gun.
Yeah.
Here you go. That's the developer that I want. But if we're thinking publisher, we have to look at the lens of what they just bought. They're looking at the lens of transmedia. There is an awesome, I've been chilling out this podcast for the last day because I listened to it. It was eye-opening of a podcast called Sway, a little indie podcast called Sway, owned by an indie company called New York Times.
Oh,
and they had
they just
Bob
bought
Iger
Wordle,
on.
by the way.
We don't even know what Wordle is.
I do.
But they talked about, they had Bob Iger on, who's now officially retired and officially richer than I'll ever be in my whole entire life. And they were just like, so you own Disney. You're seeing all these tech companies invading Hollywood. What do you think's happening? And he's just like, as Disney, we weren't scared of Apple or Microsoft or whatever, because we know we have IP. We have Mickey Mouse. Apple doesn't have Mickey Mouse. We have superheroes. Apple doesn't have Marvel. So we have the IP that people care about. Now, how do we translate that IP in shows, in movies, in comics? And so if I'm Sony, I would be thinking through that lens of who's the next person I could buy that I can translate to games, to films, to TV shows. And so my first thought, because you two are so goddamn friendly with each other, is Square Enix. Square Enix has a ton of IP that you could go into the well on, make a fantasy world in. Amazon's making a Lord of the Ring. Why can't you make a Final Fantasy show?
Yeah.
You're talking about Final Fantasy 14 being a very popular live service game, And if you have a team at Guerrilla working on an MMO, maybe they want to talk to each other. This makes sense.
Yeah.
So through that lens, to me, Square is a bigger buy than Destiny, and it fulfills that transmedia stuff.
Not to mention, Square would also include Crystal, right?
Yes, it would include Crystal, which is working on an Xbox game.
Sure, but that would also mean Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
would be a PlayStation thing.
Yep, Deus Ex, PlayStation thing.
Guardians.
Makes you think. Guardians. I don't know. Maybe John told us something before he walked out of that Zoom call.
Spoiler: He didn't.
He didn't.
he did not.
He didn't. That would be a real dick thing if I just left that in there.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, so to me, I think that Square makes sense. I also think Ubisoft makes sense. They have a ton of IP that could translate well into movies that have been tried, and some fail with like Assassin's Creed. But if you got Sony's production team working on it, that cuts that production team over at Ubisoft. I think that works as well. I think the next publisher's big. That's my only thing.
I did read something during the millions of tweets today about this whole situation of like who's next, and somebody mentioned I'm never gonna find it because it's gone, it's in the ether. But mentioning how buying a Japanese company is probably a little bit harder.
Yes,
because there's a lot more legal red tape and whatnot.
Yeah, if you're Western.
So would that knock out like a Square Enix, a Capcom?
No, because Sony, though, is an international company. They are at its heart a Japanese company.
Yeah.
So the next one, and this is the pie in the sky, this is where it's like, take your shirt off, let's get crazy, would be EA.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of people that yell, like, you can't do this, you can't do that. I just think of Sony has a large wallet that is evaporating in the year's end. It takes two to tango, as Jeff Grubb has said. They're probably trying to wine and dine EA right now.
And then that would also make a lot more sense where Jim Ryan's saying we want to be everywhere. And EA has Madden and FIFA, and you can't imagine them not going everywhere.
Yeah.
So that would still fit that message of.
And I mean, there's reasons why you don't want EA, because they do, things like Madden and FIFA, and that they are everywhere. But at the same exact time, you're like, well, that's guaranteed revenue. So we could take those things and we could then go to BioWare, give them a good home. We have RPGs now, right? That people care about. We then have that transmedia with BioWare. They're looking to make a Mass Effect show. Now we have a Mass Effect show. We got Dead Space horror here with us.
And then Respawn?
A first person shooter with that would be in Respawn.
Ooh, interesting.
Which honestly, if you're talking about a deal that would get my harder than the Activision Bethesda deal or whatever, it's Respawn Day.
Wow.
You're talking Vince Zampella now, like sits at the board of Sony, and I am rock. That's the ticket. And the thing is, like, these conversations sound crazy, but if the past 2 weeks have taught us anything, is that anything is possible now. The rule book's been tossed out. Literally, the maker of Halo is now a PlayStation studio. Again, Crash is an Xbox mascot now.
Yeah.
When I'm telling you is a foot, it's a foot. Anything's possible.
Can I also tell you, I've already used this reference on too many of this show lately. Yeah. But when I saw that PlayStation bought Bungie, my also first thought was the Michael Scott vasectomy thing. Snap, snap, snap. Bungie going from Xbox wanting independence, bought by Activision wanting independence, and now they're bought by PlayStation again. Snap, snap, snap.
There's only so many vasectomies a man can take. But yeah, so my dream is it'll always be From Software.
Yeah.
And again, my want from them is to expand their studios, not simply buy more studios. I want that to also be clear that we're not getting drunk off possibilities. I still want them to say, hey, I want to buy studios. So maybe we walk on over, we knock on a door that of Remedy, right? We're knocking on a door of an Avalanche. Like, we're buying studios and we're believing in the people and their IP. That's what I want at the end of the day, because I'm right there with the good sir of this may sound exciting, but at the end of the day, if everything boils down to a subscription service and I'm paying for 4 subscription services at $15, well, I'm not saving any more money now, am I? So I'm right there with you.
Can I be a little crazy? Because I gave you the big purchase, right? Capcom or Square.
Yeah.
If I were to pick a developer, that would make sense.
Okay.
That fits my line of rationale.
Yeah.
PlayStation goes out and just buys Atlas.
Sega.
Oh, I forgot they're owned by Sega. I thought they were on their own.
Do you really want Sonic?
No, I don't.
I don't want Sonic.
I don't. I totally forgot they're part of Sega. Never mind.
Yeah. What if it's Nintendo?
Hey, Breath of the Wild 2 on PS5? What are we talking about here?
Oh, man. It's like it's kind of like the Thanos thing where like PlayStation walks into Nintendo HQ. They're like, all that. What do you say? Like, all that failure come back to me or whatever. Like, that's kind of how it feels.
Where did it
like.
lead you? Right back
to me. What a weird time we're talking about. What a weird time. Cypher Primus writes in, Bungie has other games in development and will be multi-platform. However, no one said anything about these games being timed exclusives. Do you think that this will be the case? My gut feeling says yes.
That could be a good workaround around that wording.
Possibly. But to me, it's like, well, if it comes to Xbox eventually, who cares?
Sure.
I think this just guarantees that those games don't come on Game Pass and instead come to Spartacus. All roads lead to Spartacus. I just hope they keep the name.
Same.
It's a dope name, dude.
Yeah.
I get it. There's a lot of like trademarks and patents.
They won't, though.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
But my gut feeling is no. Sony is, I think, letting Bungie be as creatively independent as possible. That's why they took this deal, and if they don't want it to be, it won't be. Yeah. Simply put.
Hey, Sony, I'm just saying, if you want to buy the trophy room, just pay off our debt. We can still stay totally independent and creative as we are.
Yeah.
I mean, just saying, it'd be great.
I'm just rounding up $100,000
each, right? Each.
I mean, I was thinking combined, and that takes care of my student loans, anyways. I would assume.
I got a lot of credit card debt, so let's a little.
All right, $200,000.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Back to the office. They're buying us out for $60,000. We are going to be so rich. Darren07R writes in, and a new patron, by the way. Thank you, Darren.
Hey.
Do you think the recent buyouts are an arms race between MS and Sony, or part of a larger play to keep Amazon and Google away from the heavy hitters of third-party publishers? I think that's Microsoft more than Sony.
Sure.
I think Xbox is telling Amazon, hey, you want to be in here at $80 billion.
Sure, yeah.
Just for the IP. We're not even talking about your hardware, your little streaming. So come get it, bitch. And PlayStation, again, I'm really thinking smaller acquisitions, smaller teams, because they say studios. I still don't believe the publisher. I will believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
All things are possible. But to me, I'm definitely thinking that's more Xbox and Microsoft. That's more Microsoft than Sony. And I think we don't have an arms race between Microsoft and Sony. I definitely feel like with the moves that they are making, they want each other as their competitors. I can't stress this enough. When I see dumb fanboys fighting, I'm like, you're fighting against the wrong side. Yeah. Tim Cook is right there. Jeff Bezos and his creepy eyes are staring right at us. And someone else across the lake, and someone else, like this guy, he stares like an insect. He freaks me out. I don't like it. I don't like it. If you're telling me who's the evil genius, it's Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh, he can't be trusted. Yeah, I think that's the power move. But I think those people are still coming because again, Apple's also a $1 trillion company that their wallet's also going to be burning by the end of the year. So they're going to have to make some purchases as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle.
Joe.
That's all the questions we got this night.
Yeah.
I do want to end on this. This beautiful night. I do want to end on this on our emergency episode of the podcast that Jeff Grubb predicted, but won't be on. I just want to pretend to be salty. Just want to a little bit. I think this is going to define what type of CEO we're going to see out of Jim Ryan. If this is it, this is what we're seeing in front of us. I think the next moves that PlayStation will be making in the next few months are the defining things of his CEO-ship. Mm-hmm. So I'm really interested to see where PlayStation goes in the next couple of months. Because, listen, if Activision Blizzard was a 5-month purchase and PlayStation is in the midst of acquiring something or in talks of, we'll probably know by May or June.
Well, yeah, and also
we'll know Spartacus.
This Bungie deal was also around that time frame as well.
Exactly.
So a lot of people out there are like, "Oh, this is in response to the Activision being bought by Xbox." This has been going on for months.
Yeah,
it just happens to time up that way.
Yeah,
I'm sure it got sped up a little bit.
I wonder,
like the announcement wise, but
honestly, I wonder when Phil walked up and called Jim, going, "We have Call of Duty, now let's talk." Jim was just like, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, geez. Oh, no. Phil, don't.
Oh,
oh no, you really got us.
Oh, egg on my face. Oh.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah. And then, like, while, like Phil's walking out of the room, he's like, yeah, just wait in 2 weeks, bitch. And Phil's like, what?
I like to imagine it's a Zoom call, right? And Jim is talking to Phil. Yeah. And as he's like, oh, no, you bought Call of Duty, whatever. And behind him is like Guardian statues and like Destiny banners being put up behind him. And he's like, oh no. Oh,
geez.
What do you got over there, Jim? No, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Here's my stuff. Yeah, man. Again, crazy times we're living in. But that's it. That's a trophy room. Unless you have any final thoughts, Kyle.
No. And this week is even going to be even more crazy because our regular show, there's plenty of news we didn't even touch on from today that we'll touch on there.
Oh, boy.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy week in the land of PlayStation.
Yep. And so with that said, you can find our next episode this Thursday as we break down the Gran Turismo State of Play alongside all the Discord integrations, alongside the MLB the show news, all the stuff. And I bet there's even more. I bet next week... I don't know. Tomorrow Nintendo buys, I don't know, Sega. Something.
Oh my God.
Whatever it is, sky's the limit. And we'll be talking about that too on, again, this week's show. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Of course, please, if we got you a laugh, if you gained a little bit of insight, I don't know how, but you did, please consider dropping a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. I literally got the sweetest review from a listener named Gino, and it literally made my week. So acts of kindness like that get content creators like us through it. Because if I'd been doing this for 2+ years and never seen a 5-star review, I'd probably not be doing it. Honest to goodness. They mean a lot, not just because of it helps us out in the algorithm, because it really just puts the fuel in the engine for us to keep going, knowing that we're making that impact. And a little greedy part of you wants that Horizon Forbidden West copy of PS4 and on PS5, and that ends on the 14th of February, as well as if you're on Spotify. What's that?
Valentine's Day it ends.
Oh, yeah, you'll be our little Valentine's.
Hey.
And for the people that are still on Spotify, which I am defiantly at this point, I'm too old to switch to Apple Podcasts. I don't care what Neil Young's doing. All right, he's braver than me. Rate us 5 stars over on Spotify as well. Shout us out, link that, or show us that picture since you can't I can't see your names when you do it, and I've been getting DMs just flooded. Understand, I've getting them. I just can't respond to all of them. So, yeah, rate us 5 stars there on Spotify. Get a chance to win the Elden Ring copy on whatever platform of choice, because I know we got some Xbox fans listening. And with all that said, with all that out of the way, Kyle, before we go, is there anything you'd like to spotlight, sir?
Just myself, Mr. KSEP, everywhere, 61 Indie, SIXONEINDIE, where we cover the latest and greatest of all things indie game news. And if you listen to this as soon as it goes live, keep an eye on my Twitter handle because I don't know the exact site, but I'm going on a PlayStation console war show with the Xbox A crew, Court and Matt. I will be teaming up with Matt from the PlayStation Drive as we do a little PlayStation versus Xbox kind of discussion.
Are you gonna remind Court that just because he can't beat Bloodborne doesn't make it a bad game? And when he tries to insult that game, he's insulting the hard people that work on it and the people that enjoy that game?
Absolutely, I will.
Are you going to tell him that he's only level 4 in Halo, so maybe he should think twice before he throws rocks from a glass house?
That sounds like a personal beef. I don't want to get in.
Well, I don't know anything about Matt. I just know Court's not good at games, and he keeps on reminding me that he's not. So I'm using what he's told me against him.
Fair.
I'm a bad friend.
Fair.
And you can find me over at Mr. Bad. You can find the show over at PS Trophy Room on Twitter. You can find the Trophy Room on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Google Play, wherever you find your podcast service of choice. We are there. And if we're not, let us know, because we're going to change that ASAP. So with all that said and with all that out of the way, everybody, keep your wits about you. Keep hunting and keep playing PlayStation. See you guys.
I love you.